uncovered the seal showing the governor of Yerushalayim was a Jew in the time of the first temple, probably Hizkiyahu, or even later King Hizkiyahu or King Sidkiyahu, or Yoshaya, or the King Yoshia. Again, Isaiah's name was Yeshaya, and the king was Yoshia. So they spell it in English Josih, but it's Yeshayahu and Yoshayahu. Yeshayahu and Yoshiyahu. And those are the kings that ruled in the first temple. And so the governor gave this seal when they sent this out to, they did commerce. Well, anyway, so where does the help come from? You know, God raised the heavens to help the Jewish people. God raised the heavens to help the Jewish people. So where does the help come from? I mean, it was declared Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, and the heavens didn't fall down, right? And EU is still in existence, and no one did anything, and there was no revolution throughout the world, you know. But the nations were browbeaten into following the Arab propaganda of changing history, historical accounts. No matter what the United Nations or the EU or the revisionists want to change, we know what the truth is, and the truth will come out. And you know, the Arabs, they were given the land, I don't want to go in, whatever. Anyway, they're doing excavation there, and they're just throwing things around and dumping things anywhere they want, and destroying artifacts that the Arabs have done and dug under the Temple Mount. Yeah. So where's the world? It's not what's right. It's who has might. But we have, and God should look favorably on us and all the people that we still have maps of biblical Israel, right? Biblical Israel, the maps that God delineated in the Bible. In Numbers chapter 33:1, and in many places it's delineated. And here, this is the desert, right? Sinai, and it goes all the way down here, and it goes across, there's the Jordan River, right? And this land is over here, biblical Jewish. It goes all the way up to Lebanon. And these red lines denote the different tribes who were given that land. And you say, well, yeah, but the people living there now. That doesn't make a difference. What does that care? In God's eyes, He could change the people's ways of thinking overnight. Well, the whole world did not want to acknowledge Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And one person came out and it was finished. And that's it. The whole world is going to dance to a different tune. But it's interesting to note that interesting to note that the help that God gave us at this present time, where Iran is on a defensive attitude, and the Arab under UNRWA are being disfranchised with millions of dollars that they receive for refugees. UNRWA, right? UNRWA, branch of the United Nations, funding refugees and Palestinian refugees since 1949. right? That like 70 years, America's giving like $300 million a year, maybe it's 125 million. I don't know what their fund is to use for Palestinian refugees. And they include those Jews living in Israel. Arab Jews living in Israel. There are Palestinian refugees, and they use that money to spread hatred against Israel. And where was Obama all these years? What did he say? He packed up the last plane out of there with billions of dollars to Iran, appeasement. Who is he for? Oh, he has a nice demeanor and smile and thinking characteristics that make him believable. To a politician, to make the people feel good with a very sincere, facial, thoughtful, pensive characteristics. Oh yes, but you get a guy like Trump, where the media is against him, and they pick out every little word and build mountains out of it, and fake news is what's right, and what is emphasized? Fake news, while the real news of what's happening is shunned in the background. But thank God, the help comes from the palaces. Throughout our history, we have seen the help to the Jewish people from the palaces, from the White Houses, For instance, what do we have over there in Ivanka Kushner, Ivanka Trump Kushner married an observant Jew, and she converted according to the halacha, according to the law, and she is an observant Jew, and she has ear to the president. It's like, you get there's a whole litany of historical events that happen like that where the help came from the palaces. Look at Moses. He was brought up in the palace, and he became the savior of the Jews. And who else you have? Esther. Queen Esther had the palace and had ear to the king Ahasuerus, right? And she was in the palace. She could walk whatever she wanted to, like Ivanka Trump, like Moses in the palace of Pharaoh, and like Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar. He was a Jew who was taken away from the Jewish people when the 8 years before the temple was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. They took the locksmiths and the carpenters, meaning the intelligentsia, including Daniel, to Iraq, right? And that's where they took them to Iraq. And Daniel, the book of Daniel, shows how he was so instrumental in helping the Jews when they came from exile, when the temple was destroyed and brought back to Iraq, where there were yeshivas and schools to teach them Torah, right? So the help comes from the palaces. It's not necessary that we need millions of people. Millions of people. Look, this is it was being recorded on November the 12th or the 13th. I'm not sure what day it is. On a Sunday. Excuse me, January the 13th or the 12th. I'm not sure. On a Sunday, and it's and at the time when what's the name? Morsi of India greeted Netanyahu, president of Israel. So, I mean, he has such a love. The Indian people have such a love for the Jewish people. I mean, he's returning a visit. 6 months ago, the Indian president went to the little country of Israel, which has 6.5 million people. That's all. 6.5 million people. Compared to the country of India, and Morsi, is it, or Modi? I'm not sure because I get it confused with the Egyptian president. Anyway, he came back. The country of India has 1,050,000,000 people, of whom there are close to 5,000 Jews, right? And he is so happy with the Jewish people. He ordered so many things brought to them for trade and commerce, and he broke protocol, and the president of India went to meet Netanyahu at the airport. Broke protocol and not waited till the entourage came to him. So he has such a love for the Jewish people. Well, who puts that love into the into our friends? It's only God Almighty that does this. Like he hardened Pharaoh's heart. But in the same token, we have to live up to our promises that we made. And just to backstep a minute, we spoke about, I know there's so much to speak about. We spoke about UNRWA, right? And, they've been collecting millions upon millions of dollars all throughout the year, throughout the generations, for the Palestinian refugees. And the Palestinian refugees are even those people who live in present-day Israel. And here they can't, assimilate them, Arab countries, into Syria or Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt. They can't incorporate them. But here the plague is that these Muslims are being sent to Europe, and with their evil intent, which Trump could foresee, integrate them into the European countries. Just like they wanted to get rid of the Jewish people who were an asset to them, and threw them out physically and bodily, now they're being punished with the same curse by having them receive people who I'm sure they're not going to be happy with. Because let's face it, a few generations earlier, they killed anybody that was not of their ilk. Okay, listen, there's a lot to delve on that thing, but going back to UNRWA, there was over 1 million Jews from 1948 to 1953 who were displaced in North Africa, told to leave with only their belongings that they could carry in their hand. They're from the countries of Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, Libya, Sudan, told to leave overnight. And who did the United Nations give any money for these people? Did they give any money to these people who were forced down and in many cases murdered before they got on the plane with only what that they could carry? What about the lands and the property that they held in these Arab countries? And no one's talking about that. There's over 1 million refugees. But the Arab, Palestinian, and invented people are still collecting money, millions upon millions of dollars, and only Trump is able to see the fallacy and the falseness of that whole system. I mean, he doesn't have the finesse. He doesn't have a politician of Obama that gives you that pensive, thoughtful look that's helping you and doing good for you. And in the meantime, the last day in office, he sent a plane of over $1 million to the Palestinian Authority because that money was to be used to give once the Palestinians stop their incitement of terrorism. But he sent it over to them, just like that on the last day. Cleaned out every nickel and dime he could find to give to the Arabs. But he has a pensive look. And Trump, he's a businessman he gets things done, and he's sent by God, just like Cyrus, and he let Cyrus, he let Nehemiah and Ezra build the second temple. Where are we? I don't know where we are, but the point is that only God should have mercy on Jewish people, and see that what we're doing, and see that these people over here these are the people in the liberated territories of Judea and Samaria. These are the housewives who are defending the God-given title, which all the nations accept. Most nations accepted the Jewish temple, the Jewish Bible. And here, we have to put our women out to defend their Bible and their delineated territories. Look, before I forget, I want to tell you that you can find this on firstshabbos.org. Very important, firstshabbos.org. It's all one word. And you type it up on Google search, but at the top of Google search, not at the bottom, not in the middle of Google search, but in the top line of that page, there's a rectangular blank space. Over there, type firstshabbos.org. I don't know if you can read it. I don't have a cameraman, but to zoom in on you, I guess they took them all at the Eagles football game. They could see where the ball was actually a trapped catch or a completed pass. But I don't have any cameramen. No, I don't have any cameramen. But that doesn't stop us, because we are picked. I mean, now listen, I'm not a great guy, but I mean, I had to work on my own to find out the truth. And basically, I'm from Delaware, square from Delaware, right? The first city in the first state. And I persevered until I got to understand the knowledge of Judaism. And I want to thank my Rosh Yeshiva's Rabbi London's, Zechel Tzadik Bracha, and also to my I don't know what I can call him as my book Rabbi Victor Millers, Zechel Tzadik Bracha. And I urge everyone to buy his books, because he wrote these teachings down in English that he learned in the Slobodki Yeshiva in Europe, and they got it from Sinai, where the Jews were encamped for 40 years after they came out of enslavement. Right? So remember, we have a Bible, and it's a schematic historical events which teach God's teachings, theories, and thoughts in those events. So we have the first part with the finding a surrogate. Surrogate was found. This is the Bible. This is what the Bible contains. God looking for a surrogate people. Couldn't find one till chapter 12. Right? God is like a helicopter. He's without the time frame. In other words, he can see what the future will be, what the present is, and what happened in the past. So again, the Bible is what? The Bible, Jewish Bible, the only Bible we have. And unfortunately, we're so far away. There's a gulf between the non-observant and those who are knowledgeable. But it's unfortunate that what happened is there's such a thing as an aptitude, right? And God placed aptitudes in us for vocation, right? people who are naturally born electricians or musicians has that ability, and certain people have strong strengths for spirituality and godliness and searching the truth. Everyone has that capability, but some people have it stronger. That have that soul. You know, God breathes into the nostrils of man. God breathed into the nostrils of man. Yeah, what does that mean? He gave him a soul and the ability to choose between right and wrong, and he gave him an aptitude and a quest for spirituality. Everyone has that. Many people have it on a higher level than others, and therefore they even though they're born in Delaware, they will, without any yeshivas, without too much background of what have you, they will seek the truth and find it and give it over and realize the purpose of a Jew, and one way or the other act as a light into the nations, so that the Messiah will come. Now we don't spend too much time on Mashiach. Messiah, we want Mashiach now. I mean, you know, that's the whole Jewish concept. And the word Messiah means anointed one. Nothing to do with saving. Nothing to do with all these false ideologies that say you believe and you're saved. Saved for what? Baloney. Judaism, the concept of Messiah comes from the Jewish Bible and the Jewish teachings, and that means when the Messiah comes, he will be anointed king. It means the anointed one. He will be king over the world. All the ideologies, all the peoples will recognize that the true ideology, that the true God is the God of the Jewish people, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their teachings together with, together with the teachings at Mount Sinai, which included the torts and laws between man and man, and Deuteronomy, which includes the recapitulation of all that went before, most of the things that went before, plus new directives, new laws in Deuteronomy. And that's the makeup of the Bible, of the Jewish Bible, the 5 books of Moses. So, what can I tell you? All I can tell you is look, if you want to go onto the website, I have a little book that's written over it. It's firstshabbos.org. First Shabbos, F-I-R-S-T, Shabbos, all one word, SHABBOS.org. Type it in on the top of the page with that blank rectangular spaces. Type it in over there, firstshabbos.org. And you'll come up with a very interesting, it's very colorful background, and you'll come up with very interesting little short tidbits on what people, how they became observant. You'll see the book, and you can tune into all the YouTube channels on that page, and you see some of the speeches I spoke on previously. There's some now pictures of them. So Messiah means the anointed one. They anointed him with oil, and all the world will reclaim his king, and all the people will come to the Jewish people and ask to be taught the laws of the Torah in Zechariah, And Zechariah, they will be taught the laws of the Torah. They will be taught the laws of the Torah. They will look at Zechariah. That's one of the 24 written books of the Torah, divinely inspired. The 5 books were divinely given, but the other books were divinely inspired. 24 in total. So That's the Messiah concept, that life will go on as usual. There will be Tchias HaMesim, the arising of the dead. All those dead peoples will arise and live again. So the world will be a very happy place, but we all continue to strive to get to a higher level of perfection, right? That's the name of the game, perfection. Before Adam sinned, Adam, right, the first man sinned, he was only striving for perfection, and that's why he thought that the tree of knowledge would give him more perfection, right? So that's why he transgressed, and he ate from the tree of knowledge to increase his knowledge. It was knowledge that he didn't need, and so he was stricken, as were his descendants, with the evil inclination, right? Evil inclination, an outside force. It says that in 4:7, right? Sin in Genesis, write it down. Sin crouches at the door. Its desire is to you. Sin crouches at the door. Its desire is to you. 8:21. The inclination of man is evil from his youth, but you can overcome. The Gentiles, don't understand that. They translate it word by word, and they leave out the inclination. They just say man is evil, which is wrong. But the point is, the Jews have to, and all the righteous nations of the world, the followers of Noahite, right, and believers of one God without form, right. So these people will earn the world to come. And you say, well, why do we have many afflictions? You know.